You can call me Mystic Mike because I predict these things.
John Castañeda takes on Chris Gutierrez this Saturday at UFC Fight Night Kansas City. And this is a really competitive fight at Bantamweight. Both these guys have a lot of experience, very well-rounded, been in the game a long time. So I'm excited for this one. John Castañeda, kind of tired of breaking down this dude's fights. Was supposed to fight back in early March, got canceled. Then was supposed to take on Chris Gutierrez, that got canceled. So now he's again taking on Chris Gutierrez with, sufficient amount of heads up. They were supposed to fight back on March 8th. Now they're fighting on April 26th. So they've both been able to get in a legitimate training camp and build a game plan for each other. So I think this will be a really good scrap back and forth. John Castañeda, very good all around. He's a southpaw with good kicks, moves around a lot, very bouncy, really good movement, switches stances, good striking, good power, good wrestling. Wrestled at, I think it's like Minneapolis, Mankato or something, but dropped out to pursue MMA. He's a newly crowned jiu-jitsu black belt, which we've seen his ability to get submissions in the UFC. Tapped out Miles Johns back in the day with an arm triangle choke, Marcelo Rojo, so can throw it on the ground with ground and pound and submission ability. Really good striking. His fight with Daniel Santos was really fun. He dropped him several times with head kicks and left hands, ended up kind of gassing out towards the end and getting knocked out by a knee, but was doing really well in that fight and dictating the pace, but just kind of fizzled out just because Daniel Santos is kind of a wild man and pushes a high pace. And I just don't think Chris Gutierrez is really going to threaten him with that high of a pace, so I'm not really concerned with the cardio in this one. Chris Gutierrez, jiu-jitsu brown belt, really good footwork and movement, stabs with his kicks, slams leg kicks, one of the few guys in the UFC to get TKO via leg kick, which is just crazy. His guard isn't the best though, kind of keeps his hands down, but it's because he's just very confident with the range that he can keep with his feints and his kicks. People are hesitant to step into range, step into the pocket and throw because they don't know if they're just going to get battered to the body or to the head or to the legs. So can be hurt and dropped. We saw that against Pedro Munoz. Was hurt really bad. Got dropped by Song Yadong in that fight in like the 4th round, I think it was. And he can be taken down and controlled on the ground. We saw that recently in his last fight out against Quang Lee, who would get takedowns. He'd get takedowns, but Gutierrez would pop back up, or he'd get takedowns towards the end of the round. And they just weren't very consequential to get him any points or help on the scorecards from the judges. Song Yadong was able to take him down. Alatang Ali was able to get him down too. So, and then looking through his record, he's got a good record, 21-5-2. But you look back and it's like he really isn't beating the greatest competition. Cody Durden went to a draw. That's not bad. Andre Ewell, not bad. But beat a 41-year-old Frankie Edgar. Lost to Pedro Munoz. Alatang Ali beat him. Song Yadong he lost. Quang Lee he beat by decision. So it's like whenever he's taken up a step in competition against somebody who's legit, he seems to be just getting outworked and just kind of beat everywhere. Honestly, we saw that in the Song Yadong fight, and I know Song Yadong, he's really good, and Pedro Munoz, he's a hard night out for anybody. So I get it, but it just makes me really wonder what does Chris Gutierrez have to offer besides leg kicks? And because of that, this fight is really close on odds too. I think it's a pick'em, but I got to go with John Castañeda in this one. I think Gutierrez is just a little bit overrated. He has good leg kicks, really dangerous kicks, but if you can nullify his kicks, if you can push forward, make him uncomfortable, not let him get his kick game going, he really doesn't have anything else to offer. Might be a hot take, but it's like he really doesn't throw his hands. He really just, tippy tap with leg kicks, tippy tap feint, throw a hard leg kick, feint a spinning back fist, feint a spinning side kick, tippy tap the legs, throw another hard leg kick. And if you can really get his timing down and make him uncomfortable and push him back and shoot takedowns, I don't know what type of offensive threat he has outside of that. He's not subbing guys. He's got one submission back in 2018 in the LFA, but he's tippy tap into a decision and occasionally getting a knockout against 40-year-old men. I think Castañeda will just be in his face. He'll be mixing up his striking, all levels, shooting takedowns. He's got really good footwork himself to be able to get in and out, land his strikes, and he'll also have a reach advantage. He's going to be 3 inches shorter, but he's going to have like a 4-inch reach advantage over Chris Gutierrez. So that'll help him to land his strikes, and I think he moves very well. He moves just as well as Gutierrez, and I think that he can land and deal more damage than just kicks. We've seen him drop guys by strikes, ground and pound, get submissions, drop guys with head kicks. He's just very versatile, and I think that he's very well rounded, and I think he'll be able to game plan against somebody like Chris Gutierrez, who really his only threat is coming from his kicks. And if you keep the guy pushed back against the cage and you're throwing a lot of volume like he does, and you're mixing up all levels and you're shooting takedowns, like that's a good recipe to beat somebody like Chris Gutierrez. And we saw Song Yadong do that. He was able to, out-kick the kicker, get his takedowns, and win all 5 rounds in that fight. He has better wrestling, wrestled collegiately. We've seen, like I said, Gutierrez, we've seen him get taken down. We've seen him get his kicks caught and turned into takedowns. And I think that John Castañeda has more of a submission threat, and I think he can catch Chris Gutierrez on the ground. I think he can, outpoint him on the feet, and I think that he can get the takedowns, beat him up there, win rounds, or get the submission. So I'm going to go with John Castañeda to get this one done. Like I said, I think it's a -100, -115 both ways on this. But I just think John Castañeda is the better all-around fighter. And I think that if he can mitigate the leg kicks to a certain degree, I think he'll be able to do enough everywhere else to get the win in this one. Thanks.